احرص على الأصحاب الذين إذا رأيتهم ذكروك بالله تبارك وتعالى، موجودون بفضل من الله، لكن يحتاجون إلى بحث، إلى تحري، تبحث وتنقب حتى وإن تعبت، لأن في تعبك هذا راحة بأمر الله تبارك وتعالى. تحرص عليهم. فنبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول: المرء على دين خليله فلينظر أحدكم من يخالل من يصاحب.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. What I like about what this sheikh said is that, you need to be diligent in searching out righteous friends, and that those friends should remind you of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? And that you have to take a deliberate approach to that. And that you need to be wary of who you take essentially as close friends. And this can seem so obvious, but if I look back on my youth and how I ended up joining a gang at a young age, 12, left it by when I turned 18 fully, because I realized I don't want to end up in prison, I don't want to end up dead or in jail, and I had been close to ending up there, and I just thought, no, I want a better life. And so it's amazing when I look back at how bad a lot of those friends were. Yeah, they were popular. Yeah, they had networking effects, but they were trash. And then my good friends, I didn't spend as much time with them because I was bored of peace and stability. And when you're a rambunctious youth without a father figure, without a mother figure, and with neglectful grandparents raising you, you really get lost in the sauce. As an adult, when you become a mother especially, you don't necessarily have a lot of time to be the social butterfly, And when your kids are tiny tots, you have a lot of scheduling dilemmas and nap times to juggle and prayer times. It's a lot to take on. So you're not exactly being the life of the party, nor do you have the energy to be the life of the party. But I remember there was a red pill Muslim male YouTuber who mocked me for saying that I didn't have more than 5 female friends. And I always thought that was a weird angle to go at somebody, because it just shows you that some people are not as cautious with who they call a friend, who they grant that title to, and they'd rather have numbers than quality. And then it made me think about the number 12, the 12 people who follow Buddha, the 12 disciples of Jesus, the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him. You look at how today, because people have, Facebook is a dying app, but back when it was popular, MySpace, Facebook, people wanted to have as many as possible. And because it said the word friends, you felt like you were somehow an e-celebrity, something like that. And now that I'm older, I realize that it's not really about that. That having quality friends, even if it's 1, 2, or 3, is better than having 20 friends, 10 friends who lead you astray, and you have to always remind yourself that they are not healthy for your soul, not healthy for your redemption, not healthy for your atonement, how you live your life, for your reawakening. And so this also made me think about how some of us, you can get in that moment in life where you think you're so special that everyone must come to you and seek you out, and that you need never put your foot forward to find such good people. But if you think about it, there's a lot of good people out there, but they're not as showboaty, they're not as boastful. If you look at who Brother Sneeko hangs out with, he has met lots of decent Muslim brothers, yet he hangs out with pure degenerates, harlots, skanky women. It's quite sad. Same with Andrew Tate. And so you see to yourself, they have close friends who pull them away from Islam and don't remind them of Allah. And look how that's pushing their faith. And you see as well how cautious Dawah people are with each other. They're really quick to throw each other away, really fast to not forgive, unable to take criticisms, and they don't really have the back of one another because they don't want to lose followers, and they don't want to lose status. They like people as long as they're trending, but once there's any type of controversy, they throw them away. And how can a friendship be made when that's the case? They're very cautious to openly state who they're friends with so that they don't lose followers. And this just made me think like, you could have a friend who's a good Muslim, but they're just not popular amongst the masses. And if you think about the masses in and of themselves, it's a mob, you know. Who your friend should be shouldn't be dictated on a democracy of popularity. It shouldn't be that way. If you find someone like this person reminds me of this or that, that should be sufficient. But again, I think that it's like people are shifting their friend portfolio as if it's LinkedIn so they can leverage that to business opportunities or something. It's like they gotta have a friendship that they can also manipulate and leech off of and milk. That it's not based on pure intentions, but it's more of a business type of transaction. And friendships aren't really based upon that. That's a partnership, not a friendship. When you have a fellowship with people, that's something more honorable, dignified. And so, if you are going through a slow period in your life, don't think that you're not a good person because you don't have 200 friends that are like, you know, walking enlightened beings. You got 1, 2, 3, you're gravy. Some people have none of that. And so, be someone that can be that friend, and then you yourself might be granted that as well, inshallah. But be careful to not be the needy, clingy, desperate one for popular friends. This is so important for people to remember, because if your kids are in public school, there may not be no Muslims there, and they may feel lonely. So you need to give them a pep talk and talk to them about how they need to be diligent with who their friends are, and how a bad friend group can really bring you down, lead you astray. And for girls, if your friend, she is a harlot, skanky, she's like Chelsea Handler, Amy Schumer, Sarah Silverman, just these vulgar goblins, that's gonna make your soul rot. And if you're hanging out with women like Cardi B, your spirituality will be lowered, but your social standing will be lower, and their pollution that emanates from them is going to rub off on you and influence you and lead you astray. So when a woman says, don't judge me, don't judge her, no, you should judge. How should you judge? Does this person remind me of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If not, then get away from them. Now you're going to have disagreements. Don't throw people away willy-nilly. I made a live stream on my main channel where I talked about, how quickly do you cut someone off? Because no one's perfect. But it's about, is this person consistently trying to break the rules for Instagram, TikTok clout? Or did they simply make an error and adjust their ways? Big difference. Very big difference. Is this person making you want to listen to music and smoke weed again? If so, they're guiding you away. They're not reminding you of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You need to get rid of them. Because if they're actively promoting a sin and they're unabashed about it, they're not cautious, they are flaunting it, open sinners, happily sinning, well, talk to them when they fix things. Because there are personas mentalities, character traits that, if left unchecked, will drag you down to the abyss of mental anguish. You have to watch out for that. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all good friends who make us more motivated to learn about our deen, to stay sober, to be good citizens of the planet, right? To be good parents, to be everything good. People who push us to excel, to become the better versions of ourselves, and not lead us back to the path of Jahiliyyah. May Allah protect us all. Please like, comment, subscribe, join the blog.